Hi everyone, it's Tony Tonkin here from the Child Protection Party. I'm glad you could be with us to have a conversation about, this is bizarre, that we're going to be talking about Pauline Hanson today because she's made the news again. And why are we giving her this time? Heaven only knows, but you're going to find out on CPP TV. It's great that you could be here. We just ask you to remember to subscribe to this channel, to punch the bell so you get notifications, because we'll be making more and more notifications over time. I was hoping that every day we might be able to have a conversation of some description, either Avery or myself or us on our own, talking about things that are political and that's important to all of you who are interested in child protection and issues around kids in particular. And I'd like to welcome today our friend, our buddy, Avery Hilditch. How are you, Avery?
I'm good, Tony. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. We do need to say that this is the second time we've attempted this today, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I thought you were going to be taking time off to spend with your lovely wife.
Well, she's still doing some work today. I mean, it's holidays and everything from university, but she's still committed, a committed individual, and the university, I hope, appreciate her level of commitment when she doesn't need to be so. So,
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to do this again because there's a bit of a problem with there might be an error message on YouTube. We have so much trouble with YouTube, it's beyond a joke. I don't know whether you can see it coming through yet, Avery? Not yet?
I've got it on screen.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to soldier on regardless. You know, it's funny, I watch a lot of YouTube. It's my main source of entertainment, I guess. And I love watching those the people that have commentary, political commentary on YouTube, and seem to do it really well. And I guess we haven't arrived yet, but we're working on it.
We're trying.
It's a matter of experimentation, I think. And those people have been at it for 10 years, a lot of them. So they've kind of got it perfected, I guess. Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit about Pauline Hanson. I'm just going to play a short video. I've just tried this before, so I hope this doesn't start at the beginning, at halfway through it where we were before, but we'll give it a shot and see where we go. Here we go.
But a lot of the people had health issues. Like I keep saying, those people with the health issues, if you're in that age bracket, you have a condition or you're in nursing homes, go and lock yourself away. The rest of the country needs to get moving, open up, and we will end up with such a debt and an economy that's on the downturn. We will never recover for many, many years to come, probably even generations.
Sarah, your thoughts on this? Do you agree with Pauline that the...
I think we won't go into the other voices. We did miss that first part of that, Avery. So we won't bother with that. But she did say that something about motor cars, that if you... car accidents or something?
There's been she was saying something about people dying of COVID while they were driving.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
right? And that's a false equivalence. I mean, she's, if a person's got COVID-19 and they're that sick that they're going to die, they're going to be in a hospital somewhere, and they're going to die in the hospital. They're not going to be driving around, going to do the shopping or any stuff like that. And if they're sick enough that if they are that sick, I doubt they'd be driving to hospital. Somebody else would be driving them.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably an ambulance driver.
Well, let's hope so. But there's this idea that, and we hear it a lot, not just from people like Pauline, but and I hate being able to say that at some point, we're right and they're wrong. I don't like this notion that they have a different view. A lot of these people have a different view, and I think that's fair enough. I accept that view to some extent. I don't accept it when I believe that it's likely to harm others, though.
Yeah. Pauline is entitled to be wrong. Right?
Well, that was very diplomatically put, Avery. And
she's entitled to say what she thinks, and she should be allowed to say what she thinks, because if you go and ban her from speaking or anything like that, then how can you counter any arguments that she's trying to put forward?
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? And
Yeah.
we believe in free speech. Everybody's got to have an opportunity to say whatever they need to say, and it's here at the Child Protection Party we expect to be able to listen, in fact, to whatever it is that people have to say that may be not contradictory, controversial, yeah. And people need to feel free to be able to say what they need to say, providing it's not offending anybody else, and providing it doesn't have a racial or sexual tone to it, then it tends to be acceptable, doesn't it?
Yeah. Very quickly, I mean, as you said, that video that you just showed there started a little bit after the bit that we actually wanted to show, the bit that we saw before you realised that you'd forgotten to hit the go live button.
Didn't have to tell everybody that, Avery.
I did. I'm like that. I had to. It's a pity that people, anyone watching this, didn't hear it, because, as I said at the time, you could have taken her out and dropped Donald Trump in there, because there was no difference between what she was saying and what Trump has been saying. The economy is more important. She didn't say it in these words, but the economy is more important than keeping people safe.
Yeah, and
right?
I often kind of
That's
wonder,
what came across.
And I often kind of wonder, like what is that all about? Why is it that suddenly on one hand you've got people's lives, because unfortunately I did hear that someone did pass away yesterday as a result of COVID-19, and I think that is extremely sad. And we've got to be thinking of the family and all of those people who are impacted by that. It's very sad indeed. So people lose their lives as a result of this COVID-19. So, and then I've heard recently that they're concerned about the aftermath. So once you've recovered, how does that impact your health anyway? And that there are, I believe, some issues with the way a person is recovering and the long-term impact that COVID-19 may have on them. Yeah. So how are we, the question is, how are we dealing with that? And secondly, why does a person's life seem less significant than the economy? Do you understand any of that as well?
I do not understand it at all. If I was the Prime Minister, or if I was the President of the United States, your priority is keeping people safe. That is your number one job. Whether it's safe from foreign aggression, some country attacks Australia. My job as Prime Minister would be to keep Australians safe that way. A disease attacks this country. My job as Prime Minister is to keep them safe. If Pauline Hanson was Prime Minister, I think that the death toll that we've had in Australia would be a damn sight higher than it has been. I mean, we've been really lucky. Just very quickly say, I think we've been very lucky because people like Scott Morrison don't particularly admire the guy, but he and the government, they stepped up to the plate very early, and all the state premiers and I can't remember what are they called, chief ministers in the territories, they stepped up to the plate and they imposed restrictions to keep us safe. All right? And because of that, there's been 104 people have died in Australia, and that is absolutely tragic. One death is one too many. And it's because the Prime Minister and the state leaders stepped up to the plate early and imposed the restrictions, and they're keeping them going, and they're slowly introducing, easing those restrictions. If Hanson had her way, there would have been, I don't think there would have been any banning of people coming here, apart from maybe people who aren't this colour. Reducing the numbers.
We're going to hear about her racist comments in just a moment.
I don't think there'd have been any border closures, anything like that. And I think if she had been the Prime Minister, the death toll would be a lot higher because she is so much like Trump.
So we had, Avery, some criticism of us for, remember posting something about Donald Trump, or making a comment, I think it was, on one of our Facebook feeds, and people started to, well, one person I did guess,
Yeah.
objected to the fact that, why are we making those statements? And I think it's really helpful for us to be clear about why it is that we tend to say things about other people who have a different view to ours. Like, how would it be if we did not convey any objection to objectionable views? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you don't speak out against a view that you find objectionable, then I would say that really you're endorsing it.
Absolutely.
If I go back to the 2016 election in the United States and the upcoming election, anybody that doesn't vote, right, is saying, I don't really care what happens to the country. Right? And the people that they didn't like Hillary, they didn't like Trump, but so I don't like either of them, so I'm not going to vote. And they look what they ended up with. And I think that if we had an election system, where it wasn't compulsory to vote, excuse me, I think that we would get the same sort of thing. There'd be Pauline running for the leadership of the country because the One Nation Party is doing so well picking up votes and that. She's running for leadership, and people would say, I don't like Pauline, but I don't like that guy over there or that woman over there, so I'm not going to vote for anybody. And we end up with Pauline.
Yep, and I guess the other point is that what is really important to me is that people like Hanson, not Bernardi now, but used to be, and those people that sit on the right, and they are involved with minor parties, are constructing the debate about some of these issues, which is fine, but they shouldn't be conducting those debates in a vacuum.
Yeah.
That there is an opportunity for people like you and I, through social media and stuff, because we don't have the resources we're not going to be invited on Q&A and a national network to talk about things in relation to politics.
Not anytime soon.
We're not controversial enough in that sense. I mean, if most of the people that I guess are interviewers are probably going to ask some harder questions that are going to engender some sort of controversy from the person whom they're speaking to, and we're not likely to do that. Except the sad thing is that the issues that these people are talking about are powerful, important issues. They're talking about people dying at the expense of the economy. Now, the economy's going to recover after all of this. There's no doubt. It might take a few years, whatever.
Yeah.
And there might be some corporations, Alan Joyce, God, I do feel sorry for that man having to, still maintain his income while, thousands and thousands of people in his organisation are losing their jobs. I do feel for him, like it's tough for him, right? It's tough for everybody out there that, isn't a chief executive, isn't running an organisation, isn't running the organisation into the ground. And it's tough. It's tough, right? We get that. But we're going to recover at some point, and it's sad when large organisations like Qantas and others, and other airlines are suffering, because it's not about the organisation so much as it is about the people who work for that organisation and keep that organisation going.
Yeah,
that's what's significant. Not the Alan Joyces of this world who earn millions and millions of dollars for sitting on their ass doing what I consider not engaging with their staff, not making sure that they have the best airline possible, but that they have the best profit line that they can generate for their shareholders, which is at the end of the day what it's all about. I just wonder whether it'd be a completely different organisation, Avery, if the staff had shares in the actual airline.
Excuse me. The company I worked for, was very profit driven.
And a British company too, I hasten to add.
It was a British company, yeah, very profit driven. The original company I worked for, I could walk into the CEO's office. I could just knock on the door and say, "Hi, I need to have a word with you." I've got no idea who the CEO was when I left the last people I worked for. I've got no idea who the CEO was then. Don't know who it is now. I could never get in to see I'm talking about the CEO in Australia, not the head company. No idea. Couldn't get into them. They were more concerned with the bottom line rather than the people that work there.
Yeah, and I think my argument is that we need to become more sensitive to the issues which impact the lives of the people who are affected by COVID-19, affected by the loss of jobs, affected by the health issues that this creates, affected by the mental well-being problems it creates, affected by the sense of isolation that comes with COVID-19, particularly in Victoria right now. And, to be insensitive about how people are dealing with this problem is in itself criminal, I think.
Yeah. Pauline, in her comments, was showing a huge amount of insensitivity. There's 104 people died. There's 6,000 people that have been infected, and thankfully most of them have recovered. And she doesn't in her comments on that Channel 9 interview. Oh, that it was Channel 9, wasn't it?
Yep.
Her comments on that interview, she showed no empathy whatsoever to the people that had gotten sick, went through all that trauma, and then died. And I've just remembered something else as well from what you said earlier. You were talking about the lungs, how it affects you once you recover.
Yep.
It leads to a lot of scarring in the lungs, and it reduces, and that can take not a few days or a few weeks to recover from. I saw a medical report recently that said that scarring could take years to disappear. And if you're 30 and you get that scarring, then you've got a good chance that it will go, the next 5, 6, whatever number of years it happened to be. I don't know where they got the actual figures from. I'm not a medical person, and it wasn't some person on Facebook where I read it. And I didn't read the entire paper, so I didn't. Maybe they did explain how they worked that out.
Well, thank you.
Person my age.
Thank you, Dr. Avery. It's
say a person my age, your age. You're 3 months younger than I am. Our chances of, if we got COVID and recovering from all the scarring that occurs afterwards, is a lot less.
Well, our life expectancy would diminish, would it not?
Yeah.
As a result of getting this terrible thing, and let's face it, our generation is probably not populous overall, but it is a highly populated population, primarily because our parents after the war were excited to see each other, and they procreated at enormous rates, the little devils. They did up until the 60s. So we're there because of our parents, naughty people. But the issue is that we have, we're the population that's most likely to be impacted by this virus.
Well, it's not a case of most likely. We're the age that is most affected.
Yeah.
The majority of the people have died from COVID in Australia and in places like the US and the UK have been boomers. You and me, people like you and me.
That's right. Except now they're noticing in the US, Avery, that the spreaders though are young people.
Now, again, going back to Pauline Hanson saying about about the few people that have been affected, it's only the old people, right? Well, it's the young people going into pubs and clubs and sharing the virus around, and then go home and take it to mum and dad, or take it to grandma and granddad. You know,
Yeah.
She wants to let them all do what they want to do. You know, I want to let them all do what they want to do,
Yeah.
right? But I want to be safe when they're doing it, and the risk that her views, saying that everybody should be open everything up, puts everybody at risk, particularly people like the boomers.
Yep.
I'm selfish. I don't want to die because somebody went to a pub and got coronavirus and then coughed in my face. You know,
Yep. Spot on, mate.
I'm really selfish like that. Your comment as well when you talking about boomers, post World War II, that made me think.
Mm-hmm.
You said a little while ago, she said it's cost Queensland $55 billion. It's cost the Australian economy something. I think it's somewhere around 400 billion so far. After World War One, right, 50-odd thousand Aussies died in that. I think it was. It cost Australia a fortune. The economy recovered.
Yep.
After World War Two, I don't know how many thousands of Aussies died. I don't know how much it cost the Australian economy. Probably it may have been the similar sort of dollars in 1945 dollars, if you know what I mean, or pounds it was then. Australia's economy recovered. We had the back in 1918, right? They had the Spanish flu. That killed up to 100 million people worldwide. A lot of people died in Australia. The economy was affected. The economy recovered. You know, so if it ends up costing Australia, say, $900 billion or whatever, so what? If it means that people aren't dying, then that's the cost that we've got to pay.
No, so true. And I guess, money, the financial stuff will always rectify itself. No matter what happens, the Great Depression, people jumped out of buildings and the end was nigh. But everybody still survived. So a lot of people still survived, got on with their lives and reinvented themselves, I guess, and some of them reestablished their fortunes. But and we will survive it. These days, there's far more government support than what there has been in the past in relation to this issue either. So the chances of us getting through it are far greater now than what they would have been back in the 20s. So we are going to survive. However, I do want to play one more clip of our mate Pauline talking about, so here she's discussing, so there is an aftermath, I guess, of this issue. She is discussing the lockdown in Victoria, and we will talk about it on the other side.
We've seen food being delivered there. The fact is that a lot of them are drug addicts. There are 3,000 people, Pauline. They've actually medication. They're getting their medication. They're alcoholics, so they're being looked after that way. They're actually getting paid extra money. Why are they getting paid extra money? For what? They're not leaving the premises. A lot of these people are from non-English speaking backgrounds. Probably English is their second language, who haven't adhered to the rules of social distancing. They all use a lot of the same laundry. So the fact is, you've got to look at why they're in that situation. Why has the government gone to this high-rise building and shut it down? Possibly because a lot of these people weren't doing the right thing. Is the government worrying about the other areas that are shut down? The people that in their homes, are they able to actually get out and buy the food as well? There has to be a reason why they've targeted this set of blocks, apartment blocks. Ask that question. These people, I saw them taking in truckloads of food to them, all the rest of it. If they're from war-torn countries, which some of these people are, they know what it's like to be in tough conditions. So I've say, have a look at the facts before you criticise and that aspect. And I think the governments and all these other, these interest groups and everyone will make sure they're well looked after.
She just adds a new dimension to being moronic.
Yeah. All these people, they must be drug addicts. They must be foreigners who don't speak English or English is their second language.
But if they're like me, if they're white, possibly red-headed, and used to own a fish shop,
Yeah.
you know, then they're okay people. But they're all drug addicts. You know, this generalisation about people. No, they're not. They're not. They're people that are trying to survive in Australia who have arrived here from overseas because they believe this is one of the greatest countries on earth. That's why.
Yeah.
Not because they're friggin' drug addicts or because they're, Jesus Christ. I can't tell you, Avery, how angry this kind of crap makes me, because people are listening to her thinking, oh, yeah, well, that's all right. That's, well, maybe they are all drug addicts,
Yeah.
No, they're people on benefits who are struggling with mental health issues that have got a whole host of other problems, including poverty, right? The greatest determinant of our mental health that you can imagine, and there's certainly domestic violence, but let's feel for those people that haven't been locked away with a violent person.
Yeah.
Right? No,
Yeah.
let's not denigrate them. My God. Who does
Yeah,
she think
I mean-
she friggin' is?
I don't know who she thinks she is, but I know what she wants to be. She wants to be our dictator.
Well, that'll
she
never
wants-
happen because of her.
Oh.
And this is, where the Child Protection Party, Avery, is about justice, social justice, fairness, equity, and transparency. This is what we're about. There is nothing this woman nor her party say that would make me think that they're just or fair about anything. Like, we're just and fair amongst ourselves, hopefully. As an organisation, we're just and we're fair and we listen to what people have to say, don't always agree with each other, so be it. But we're not so denigrating of others. Like, in her party, over time, there have been points in that time where they have fought amongst themselves for political power, right? They are a destructive, unhelpful group of people. And I don't want our party to ever be like that.
No,
You know?
I would leave if it turned into that.
Well, I'd be close behind, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the idea that at some point she influences people. Look, if there are people that watch this video that object to us, so be it. Have a go at us. Don't give a shit, to be honest. Don't care. Have a go at us if you want to. But at the end of the day, if you want a person sitting in your corner defending your position, I can guarantee you having us there is going to be a far greater advantage to you than having someone like Pauline Hanson. And if you're a racist, and if you're prejudicial in any way, then we actually don't want you in the party to start with. And secondly, if you believe that we can support you around any of the issues that you have in terms of child protection, kids' well-being, all that sort of stuff, fine. But if those beliefs get covered or become murky through racial prejudice, misogyny, a sense of your own self-importance, ego, psychopathology, whatever it might be, forget it. When does that make sense? Like, we can't work with you if you are going to occupy views which are damaging to others.
Yeah. That does make sense.
Have I been clear enough around?
Yeah, you certainly have been clear enough there. I'm not entirely convinced that if somebody was in dire need of help, that we should be saying to them, well, we don't agree with that political view that you've got.
We'd never say that.
No, good.
No,
good.
But all I'm saying is that if their views colour their version of a person because of their race or creed or whatever it might be, and that itself was impacting somebody else, we've got to I have a number of people say to me, this particular worker is gay. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
What's this got to do with their decision making in terms of? Now, that's a prejudicial view.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm not going to help this client, but I am going to say to them, Well, I think that's damn unhelpful because I don't think it's got anything to do with where you're at right now. That's an idea, a dangerous idea you have that you're imposing upon them. Now,
Yeah.
the irony of that, Avery, is that they will object to someone judging them
Yeah.
for poverty, drug use, mental health, domestic violence, whatever it is, right? They object to someone judging them, but they're more than happy to judge other people, right? Because they perceive them as having positions of power, and this is the only way they can get to them. No, don't do
Yeah.
that. Don't
Yeah.
don't become like the other person. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, if somebody was just, if somebody said to me, "Oh, I don't like that social worker because they're gay," my question would be, how does their sexual orientation impact your life?
Well, and also, I've met heaps of social workers that are heterosexual
Yeah.
that I don't like. Does that mean I
Yeah.
dislike all heterosexuals? I mean, it's a stupid argument. It's
Yeah.
just, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So and I guess, and I need you comment on this too, Avery, because it's about our sense of right. And there'll always be others that have a different view of what is right. Okay, can we argue that Pauline Hanson's view of others is right? That these people are drug users. They're all getting something for nothing. Blah 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 blah. So what determines? Because you're kind of the philosopher in the group. What determines what is right?
Well, I'm not a philosopher. What determines what is right? Something is true if it comports with reality, right? So, in other words, if she thinks that 3,000 people or whatever it is, whatever the number is that lives in that tower block in Melbourne are drug addicts, if she's got evidence to prove it, then she can say they're all drug addicts. Why are they getting this treatment? All right, why are they getting treated specially? She can say it. But what she's doing is making an assumption based on the fact that they're probably drug addicts. They're probably foreigners, who've
But
come
why?
here.
But Avery,
She's just
But why would she be making that assumption in the first place? Like
because
what informs that? Do you know? What?
xenophobia.
Yeah, I understand that. You can't explain that to her because she doesn't even know what the
No.
fucking word means.
Oh, okay. She doesn't like people who weren't born in Australia.
Yeah,
That's what
who are
comes
different.
across
No,
to me
who are
when I hear that. Well, who are different? Yeah.
Different to her. That's the
Yeah.
issue.
That's what maybe she doesn't mean that, but her language skills
Yeah.
are more aimed at what Trump has been doing, which is just divide and play to a base that she knows will jump up and support her.
But
Right.
it's this. This is the thing that concerns me. Okay, so it's this base that you're talking about that is the ones she's criticising.
Yeah.
So it's those people that are other, like it's people of coloured skin, people from ethnic backgrounds, people of low socioeconomic status, people that live in certain areas. These are the people she's looking for support, because she's not going to get the support from, oh God, well, Mark Latham, I guess, is an exception to the rule. But generally, she's not going to get the support from the wealthy and the well-to-do and the intellectuals. Not Mark Latham's not intellectual, but another story. But so this is where she's. But so it's almost like it's Trumpian in that she's seeking support from the very group with whom she's at odds.
I don't know how saying all those people in that building are most likely drug addicts, right? Or are I don't know how that is going to attract them to support her.
No, I'm talking generally speaking though. That,
Yeah.
It's people. It's okay.
She's appealing. She's appealing to people who already think the way she thinks, right?
Yeah. So she's appealing to white Australians, low socioeconomic Australians.
Yeah.
The uneducated version,
Well, not
not
necessarily low socioeconomic or white Australians or whatever. She's appealing to people who have got a similar mindset to her.
And
Just
how
because
would you describe those people then?
if somebody thinks that that because your skin is brown, right, you're a drug addict, right, that's racist, right? If you think that because somebody's gay, they're a pervert, right, that is homophobic,
Yep.
right? And things like homophobia or xenophobia are not restricted to the lower socio-economic end of society. It happens across the board.
That's true.
You'll
Agree.
find so she's appealing to anybody who thinks the same way that she does, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. All I'm saying, I guess, um, is that would she, those people that are struggling, the people that find it really difficult to move through life, um, are they the people that would be supporting her at an election because they encapsulate some of her views?
Well,
Yet,
it could be that.
Yeah,
Oh, go on, sorry.
would she associate? Like, would she associate? It's a bit like the story of Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago. You know, like would the people that actually go to his rallies he invite to Mar-a-Lago? No, he wouldn't. You know, like, is there a difference? Is there a space between the type of person that she is trying to encourage to support her versus, you know, whether she actually
Yeah,
comes in contact with them?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that she, as I said, she's appealing to pre-existing biases that people have got, prejudices that people have got. She's using that, right, to enhance her own status, to build a thing. She's never going to convert somebody like you or me. I would never support her. Nothing would make me support her because I am totally opposed to the views that she expresses. Right? She may think that she's doing, saying the right things and stuff like that. I'm sure she believes everything that she's saying. She's consistent with what she says in that. I think the people that support her, the ones in the way that Donald Trump in the United States showed he was racist when he walked down that escalator and saying about Mexicans send us rapists, right? When he said that the Central Park Five should be executed, even though they'd been cleared by DNA evidence after serving 20 years or whatever it was in prison, he demonstrated. He showed that he was a racist, and yet Spanish Americans and African Americans voted for him. Here, people vote for in the lower socioeconomic spectrum. I'm not saying that there's nobody in the upper socioeconomic spectrum vote. I'm not saying they didn't vote for us. Some or a lot of them did. But the people at the poorer end of society, where I think would vote for her because she says things that appeal to them, not because it's being racist. All the Vietnamese are coming here and taking all your jobs. Not that sort of crap. But if we do this, and here's these. We're going to build you. We're going to give you all this money, or, whatever. She's making statements about what she's going to do for them in Parliament, and then she's not doing them. But people have drunk the Kool-Aid, and they're just swallowing what she's saying.
Yes, and
they're not. People don't analyse what she's saying. How is she going to fund that, for example?
But are they not? Do they care? Like, do they care about what she's funding or what she's not funding, and the power or authority that she actually has? Because like she's in charge of this, or she's deputy actually to this family law inquiry, and you kind of wonder what does she contribute to that intellectually that actually has any substance. She brought in some stuff around. I haven't got the document here, but she did bring in some stuff around domestic violence that was completely out of touch with the reality. saying that I think saying that there was a certain percentage of parents who lie, and made it appear that a lot of parents, particularly women, lie in family court about sexual abuse. So
Yeah.
they could have, and that's crap to start
Yeah.
with. I mean, there's plenty of evidence to prove that's not the case. But, she propagates those views in order to enhance her standing and to make her controversial, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the way she says it makes it sound as though every single woman, it makes it sound as though every single woman that appears in a family court says, my husband is a sexual abuser or whatever. Right?
Yep.
He beats the snot out of me, whenever he gets a chance. She puts it as though every single woman in there is saying that, and then I don't know what the number is, but an awful lot of them are not saying, they're not divorcing their husband because he's beating them or anything like that.
There's something like between a 2 and a 5% chance that someone's doing that. But
Yeah.
the other, you got to weigh it all up though, don't you? And you say, well, for the 95%, that's not the case. So
Yeah.
but why make that? Because there's a sense of misogyny about her that is sad, given that she is a woman. However, I did want to say that there is a good outcome, and I just wanted to flash this up on the screen. You probably won't be able to see it, but this is it. Oh, it's looking a bit wonky. I'm going to have to sort that out because I wanted to. So bear with me, folks, just while I change that to something that we can read. Right, there we go. So Pauline Hanson has been axed as a regular guest on the Nine Network's TV show after an on-air rant where she suggested some public housing residents subject to Melbourne's hard lockdown could not speak English, while labelling others drug addicts and alcoholics rather. So I'm just wondering what you think of that more than adequate description of Pauline's activities and how she's come to the end at Channel 9.
I find Pauline Hanson's opinions, the things that she says, the things that she obviously believes, I find them repugnant. But I think Channel 9 are wrong to say we're not going to have her on again as a regular guest, or even as a guest, whatever they're doing. She should, no matter how repugnant her views are to me, I will defend. Well, no, they're saying she's not going to be a regular guest.
No, they're not saying they're not going to have her on again.
Yeah.
They're just saying that she has this regular slot that she's got has obviously been terminated.
I understand that.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is, no matter how repugnant her views are to me, I would defend her right to say them.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, no one's objecting to that.
Okay, doesn't matter.
No, it does, because this is your thing, which is about making sure that everybody needs to have a voice.
Yeah, because there are people that are going to take on that. I would say from the left wing of politics, who are going to say they're going to be advocating for a total ban on her speaking, and then they're going to pick on Corey Bernardi and say he should not be allowed to speak. Then they're going to go to, somebody else on the right, and then, where's it going to stop? Everybody should be free to say what they feel, what they think, right? And I would defend their right to say it, right? and I've said, and everybody that watches our stuff knows, I don't believe in any God, but I would defend anybody's right to believe it and to express their views on it.
Well, I guess if they were behaving in ways which were inflammatory and causing people to be harmed, I would insist that sort of behaviour stops.
Okay, if I say to you, Tony, I think you should kill that person over there, and you go out and do it, who's responsible, me or you?
Well, I don't think that's the point, Avery. I think the point is that if you're encouraging a group of people to accept a whole group of ideas that are going to damage another group of people, then I think that's wrong. I do. And I think that sometimes we need to make a stand, a moral and ethical stand, that, look, people can express views generally, and that's okay. 99% of the time, that's fine. But there will become those times where people will start to, and we know the impact of dictators and others expressing views that are really harmful. Just speak to any Jewish person in the Jewish community, and they'll tell you how that's impacted them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we know it can be deadly, we know it can be dangerous, and in their case, 6 million people died.
Yeah.
Now, if someone was able to put an end to that crap that came from Germany at that particular time, all those people's lives may have been saved. So to say that we can't put an end to unjust and inappropriate speech, I think is unhelpful, because it depends on what the speech is.
It's not a case of putting an end to it by banning it, right?
No, we're not talking about banning it.
Good. I got the impression from something that you said that you were saying, oh, well, that sort of speech we should not allow. And
I think that sort of speech needs to be certainly stood up against.
absolutely.
And I certainly think, but the problem is, to what extent will there be voices that will make a stand? My concern about people like Bernardi and Hanson and some of the people on the right is that there aren't enough voices. The left actually, quite frankly, generally is pretty weak when it comes to being able to stand up against the loud and noises of the right. Not being able to stand up against those voices produces people like Donald Trump and Pauline Hanson. So I agree, we need to be stronger in our refuting of their ideas.
Yeah.
But there comes, I think there might, maybe you and I haven't seen it in our lifetime, but maybe there comes a time when, there are libelous laws that prevent people from saying things about other people that they shouldn't be saying, because it hurts people's reputations, damages who they are. If you and I were called things like pedophiles, for example, which is something that horrifies both of us, would it be okay for a group of people to get together and name us in ways which are just totally untrue? No, it wouldn't be right. And there needs to be, someone needs to make it. Sometimes the most powerless people in our community haven't got the ability to be able to stand up for themselves, but they need other people to. And sometimes that depends upon politicians. I don't want to sound like I'm ranting here, Avery, but I am. But, kids, for example, need someone to stand up and say, would we be happy if a group of people stood up and said that raping and destroying destroying kids' lives is okay? Would we be happy with that? Would we like that to stop? You bet we'd like it to stop.
No, we wouldn't be happy, and yes, we want it to stop. We wouldn't be in existence if we were okay with it.
But according to you, they have the right to be able to say that sort of shit.
They should have the right to say that, because if it's one of those, people can say, oh, it's a slippery slope argument, but if you ban somebody from saying one thing, what's the next thing you're going to ban them from saying? You can't,
okay. It would be okay for priests to say that it was okay to rape children.
If a priest said that, we know that they don't.
But if the Pope said that, and if the community, as a result of that behaviour, accepted that was okay, somehow that makes that behaviour right, even though he has the right to be able to say whatever he wants to say?
No, it doesn't make it right. I'm not saying that it makes it right. I'm saying that people have the right to say that, should have the right to say that sort of thing. The people that are responsible for, if the Pope said raping children is okay, and somebody goes out and rapes a child, the Pope has got a sort of moral responsibility, if you like, but the person who raped the child is the one that raped the child, not the Pope.
No,
right?
the Pope
Pope
has condoned that behaviour, though.
He has, right? I agree. But the thing is, if you start banning speech, right? If you start banning people from saying, if you say that you can't call that person this, right? Then what you are doing is starting down a slope of, we don't like that, so we're going to ban it. We don't like that, so we're going to ban it.
Yeah, but we do that. We do that anyway through libelous laws. We do have a standard where we say that you can't go down a certain.
No, we don't. That is not right. What we do with the libel laws and the slander laws, what they do is you've said something, right? And then somebody sues you for libel, right? And the libel law is defamation of character, right?
Yeah.
It's not, and the court finds in your favour. You were the person that was slandered or libelled. The court finds in your favour, and it penalises the person for the things that they said. But it does not say you cannot say them.
No, it says there are consequences though for saying.
Yeah, but
And
as
that's
soon
my
as you,
point. There are consequences, and
yeah, there should be, but there should.
But
we should not be banning people from
No,
saying
hold on. That's not fucking hell, man. That's not what I'm saying. I'm getting angry with you now, Avery, because
I can
the
hear
actual
that.
reality is that the consequences indicate to us what is ethical and what is right.
Yeah,
Now, that doesn't mean that there has to be a law that specifically says we can or can't do certain things. But what it does say is that if you do go down that path, you will be met with court proceedings, a penalty,
yeah.
maybe jail. Who knows?
Good.
But
Good.
there are consequences. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like you
I
just gave me the impression that it was just open slather, that you can say or do whatever you
no,
like. Well, you can't.
absolutely not.
Well, let's correct it, because that's not the case.
Yeah. No, I misunderstood you. I thought you were saying, "Oh, people shouldn't be allowed to say this."
Well, we're in a position where we can review the tape later, mate.
Yeah. I got
We can
I
review the
got
video
that impression.
and say no. So sorry for getting angry at you. I just
That's all
think
right.
that
You need to bleep that word out, probably.
Yeah, well, it's just it's something that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, I've had some terrible things said about me, which are totally untrue, and I recognise that there's been no action I can take because I just couldn't afford it, I guess. But you know, like, it hurts.
Yeah.
And I think that there are things that, you know, like we say some things about Pauline Hanson. I don't know Pauline Hanson personally. I don't know. She might be the most lovely, gentle person you could meet. All we're talking about are her ideas.
Yeah.
Now, you know, when people attack us, they attack us personally.
Yeah.
They make it about who they think we are, without even knowing who we are.
Yeah. We had that post put up on Facebook on our Facebook page the other day, where this one particular woman came in, and it was, "We are a bunch of paedophiles. We are paedophile enablers. We hate children," and all sorts of obnoxious stuff like that. She won't be posting there again.
Well, okay, so there's a case where you provided a law because you govern that page.
Well,
doesn't she have the right?
She had the right to say it, and I have the right to penalise her for it.
Which goes against everything you just said, Avery.
No, it doesn't.
Well, because you're the arbiter of what she has to say as whether being right or wrong.
No, that wasn't whether she was being right or wrong. She was slandering us, libelling us, because she was putting it in writing. Right? Mm-hmm. Coward that she is, she wouldn't tell us what her name is, what her address is. We don't know that the name that she uses is her real name.
Yeah,
right? So there's no way we could. She's a troll. Yeah. There's no way we could sue her, because we've got no idea who she is, where she is, or anything like that. She could be on Mars for all we know.
Let's hope she is.
Well, so what I did is, she's a troll. She wasn't putting anything in to the conversation that was adding to it or giving us pause for thought. It was all accusations about you, me, and every other member of the Child Protection Party. So I banned her. She paid a penalty for saying what she was doing. We don't want trolls.
And I guess
and it's not the same as what.
I guess
that doesn't go against what I was saying.
But that was my point, wasn't it? That there is a penalty.
Yeah.
For saying things that are libelous or unhelpful or damaging of others. And maybe sometimes we need to make those penalties a bit stronger as well as a society. You know, step up and say, "Can't do that, boy."
Well, I owe you an apology, because I did misunderstand what you were saying there. So I do apologise for that.
No, that's all right. See, this is conflict management, everybody, and Avery and I know how to do it.
Yeah.
But we are happy to talk about. No, it was a good discussion, because it kind of got a lot off my chest as well.
Yeah.
Because. And I think, Avery, there are a lot of people out there who experience people saying and talking about them in unhelpful ways.
Yes.
And feel absolutely powerless.
Yeah.
about what to do about that. And I think you and I, because of our experiences, know exactly what that feels like.
Yeah.
And,
Definitely.
and we certainly don't want it to happen to others, and certainly we don't want it to happen to members of our party, and we certainly don't want it to happen to those people that support us generally,
Yeah.
do we? No.
We don't.
So, great discussion. We've been travelling along this path now for an hour and 4 minutes. I reckon this is the longest one we've ever done, considering.
I think about 4 minutes of that was talking to ourselves because
No,
the
no,
goal
no.
life.
No, this is the actual stream.
It's the actual stream, was it?
So,
Okay.
yeah. So, so thanks, Avery, for a very lively discussion. It was fabulous.
I enjoyed it.
I hope it encouraged other people to think about that. Don't agree with us necessarily. That's right, isn't it? They don't have to agree with us. But challenge us. I mean, Avery challenged me very deeply tonight, which I think is a good thing. Not going to object to that. One little bit, I love to think that most of our discussions were along those lines. It just demonstrates that Avery and I don't agree with each other every time, but we sort it out.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you know.
Yeah. I'm going to be, once this is done and YouTube has finished processing this, I'm going to be uploading it to the website and then sharing it on to our Facebook page.
Yep.
So anybody that sees this and watches it can comment away, and maybe we'll find out what they think. Maybe people will challenge us. I hope they do.
I guess we can sit back in real time and have a look at that too.
Yeah.
See watch the comments come through. So thanks, Avery. And for those of you that are viewing this, thank you very much for being with us. Become a part of the Child Protection Party. Enroll with us. Join us. Become a part of a fabulous movement which will do what it can to ensure that your kids, no matter where they are safe. So thanks, Avery, and thanks everybody for being a part of the Child Protection Party in this video. Take care.